tell us your backstory. Like, give us
my design story, or you want like a whole life confession?
Well, let's do both.
It goes back to like day one. My mom was an interior designer and my dad was a custom home builder. So that was my whole life. That was everything. And I got both sides of it. My mom did a high-end interior design. So I got to see that it's not glamorous at all. I got to see like the women crying on Christmas Eve because their pillow's not there, so they can't have the party and life is ruined. So as much as I love design, I loved like the actual creative part. I despised what some of interior design could be because it was part of my daily life. And then my dad did custom home design, custom home building, which was the same type thing. Like my daily outings was checking jobs. Delivery men brought me to school, like in the back of the big vans. Wow. Yeah. And I wrote on like fabric books and wallpaper books to school. It was in me. It's what I did. It's what I did as a little kid. I didn't have dolls. I had fabric books and I made fabric families. I enjoyed it because I was stuck in a design store. You know, I picked up nails and cleaned job sites for fun. So that was my life. So naturally, I went to school and got a general studies degree, which I don't recommend. It's not a real thing. You're qualified for nothing. So after that, I went back to school for design degree and I finally gave in and realized it was my love and I could make it, you know, what I wanted to make it. And then a natural disaster happened and, you know, we make plans, God laughs. Katrina hit right after I was done. I was doing construction with my dad and design with my mom and loving life. Katrina hit. I lived in Bay St. Louis, Mississippi, and there was no town left. With a general studies degree and no job, there was nothing to do but pack my bags and moved to New York. My friends were there. I was 24 and beat the hell out of Bay St. Louis. I had a FEMA trailer and I was hanging out in like a trailer bar because there was nothing left in Bay St. Louis. So I figured it was like the next best step. And when you get to New York, you realize that it's a big design world out there. By luck, this is a quick little story, but kind of funny because the whole point is to be nice. I worked a retail job in the West Village and I quickly realized I really didn't enjoy retail. Stayed open late one night, was nice to the right person, shared St. Gerard novena with a precious Jewish girl. Catholic girl gets Jewish girl pregnant with St. Gerard novena. Precious Jewish lady gives Ashley an amazing visual design job with Diane von Furstenberg in trade. Wow. So I took my interior design skills to the visual world of fashion, which really is the same thing. I just made myself look at the clothes as fabrics. So I went back to my fabric families when I would make floors. And nobody knows this, but I'm airing this on national TV and they can't fire me now. So they told me I like shipped out to Boston to do a Saks Fifth Avenue floor like the day after I got the job. So I called my mom and I said, will you fly to Boston and meet me at Saks? I don't know how to do this. So we met at Saks at 6 o'clock in the morning and I did my first like big visual design for DVF and the rest was history. But that was before smartphones. I didn't know how to upload photos. Nobody saw what I did, really. They would have to like call and vouch for me. It was a killer job. There was no accountability. Nobody knew where you were. There was no Life 360. So I did that for a few years and it was amazing and it was rewarding and it was still creative and I got free clothes. And then I met a boy from home, had babies, and that job did not make sense. So we headed back down here. And in the meantime, we were always flipping and doing. When I met Byron, I thought I was going to have a really fancy life in New York City, but he was already flipping apartments in Brooklyn and the East Village when the East Village was not cool and not nice. So instead of going to like the Maritime Bar, I was going to the Home Depot in New Jersey. Mm-hmm. So again, everywhere I went, design and construction, it just chased me, you know. So here we are. We started doing some spec houses, not really renovations, but more spec houses. And my dad was still doing custom design. We were here for a short time and my dad had a massive stroke and he was in full swing of construction and all hands on deck. So we took over that. So I faked it till I made it. All those years on construction sites, I really realized I didn't learn a whole lot. So I would act very important and I would Google things. So I learned a lot more in construction, Googling, and like the triage-ness of his stroke. And, you know, we finished all the custom houses he had and we continued to do our projects. So that has kind of left us where we are with the construction side, and design is something I've always done either professionally or for friends.
Can you kind of dig deep into that emotion of how you felt when your dad had a stroke? Can you kind of...
I'm going to use the first word again, that's scared.
Fine.
Yeah, it was, I'll never forget. He had, I think at the time, like maybe 7, 8 custom homes going, and he ran it. I mean, he did everything. Everything was on his phone, everything, there was no computer, there was no secretary. She had recently passed away, and it was like 6:15 in the morning when we realized he had lost his speech and his whole left side. And he wrote on a sheet of paper, take my phone, and he started firing off notes of who needed to be on what job and what needed to happen. It started realizing very quickly why he had a stroke. Because I think before it was like 6:15, before 7:30, I'd already fielded like, I think it was like 39 calls. Overwhelming. Yeah. Yeah. And scary. And I would call my husband, who is he's a commodities broker, so he couldn't really step away to field those calls with me, but he did everything he could. And I have 2 amazing brothers who stepped in and did the same thing. So it was overwhelming and it was scary, but it's also one of those moments where sometimes in the tragedies is like where we find the most light, because I mean, with the grace of God, but also you don't have a choice. If I had had the choice to do that work for him, I would have never, ever chosen that.
Mhm.
But in those moments for your family and people you love, and when you simply don't have an option, you put on your boots, and literally I ordered new boots. I do remember that. I was thinking, I need some cute fry boots if I'm gonna be doing this construction thing. So there's always a silver lining, But yeah, it was scary, but we got through it, and we got all the projects done, and everybody lived to tell the story, and he's doing great. So yeah, that part was good. So that kind of put a little damper on me doing design, because I was about to really kick off doing more just interior design when that happened. It was an unexpected turn, but I think it definitely made me more well-rounded when it came to being a designer, because functionality and what things cost gets a little lost on to each side, so it's definitely made me a more rounded designer and flipper. My husband, I'm glad he's not behind me, because he would be cracking up laughing if I said I was good at budgets, but I'm better than I look.
So how do you believe your unique skills and personality and experience will set you apart from other competitors on the show?
Again, like I said, my background, it's so multifaceted. I've been on the really pretty side, and I've been on the really dirty side. Just creativity too. I think everybody has their own spin. I'm not saying I'm more creative, but I think over the years, having the confidence to listen to those creative pulls and not second guess. I think even at 30, I might have gone about it differently, but at 43, you kind of get the screw it method, like come feel it a little bit more. Getting confidence and age too, I think it helps, where you're willing to trust your gut or take a chance, even if it doesn't feel as safe as it did at one time.
Can you share an unexpected challenge in a flip that you did, or like maybe a home renovation or design?
I mean,
one that sticks out to you, like, oh my gosh.
Oh, I mean, like when you walk after a house has been framed and you realize it was like framed 2 feet too short, like yeah, things like that.
Yeah. One that you remember most, maybe.
Oh, well, this is a tough one. I don't know. That's one I would really have to think about. I guess I'm so good at what I do. There's nothing like that ever happens. I'm just kidding. There's nothing major that's happened. There's always like things are ordered wrong, or plumbing snafus, or electrical, or you forgot to do this. Or I mean, in my own house, I think there's a room I forgot to put a light in, but nothing. Luckily, I haven't had anything that major. Maybe this is my moment.
Awesome. So what drives your passion for flipping and interior design? Where does that like come from? I guess I would guess your family. Yeah.
I mean, I didn't have children's books and toys. I had that was beautiful. Literally, my mom and I, a game we would play, most people read to their kids. We would take like Elle decor, and she would take a pencil and I would take a pencil, and she would say, okay, let's start with color. Where is there negative space? Where would you change? And I would make notes. Or from a design layout, like space planning. What would you change in this room? At like 5, she did it with my girls too. It was really cute. So that became the way that I would like soothe, or my coloring book, if you will. So it started so young.
Yeah.
I remember just like, gosh, I was so little, but my job was to put away like fabric books and wallpaper books, and just learning the textures and feeling and touching, being so in it from such a young age. It's almost impossible to not be inspired.
Can you share a moment of transformation that you remember, whether it's someone walking into a new house, or maybe a personal transformation of like maybe your own house? something of like, I guess, a story of transformation you can remember.
Sure. And I think that is what always brought me back to home. Why I never really had a love of like the commercial side of things. My mom was so good at what she did because it was more than design. She always talked to me about, you know, you have to touch every sense. So I remember going with her on like, I mean, say, you know, on what is it? You know, the HGTV show. What is it? Where she goes in the end and she's lighting the candles and she's
Chip and Joanna.
yes.
Okay.
You know, before there was cameras, and my mom, I would miss like 20 days of school to go to work with her like throughout the year because she just felt like it was more important for me to be, which I guess in the end it was, but probably not at the time. And I remember those days, like she would have something on the stove and candles lit and fresh flowers and would pay attention to who they were, what pictures should be up in frames, and those moments and the music going. And I have countless memories of a client who was battling cancer who walked in and smelled, they live far away, and she smelled a gumbo that my mom had made while doing design and candles, and the right book next to her bedside, and a picture my mom found when she was little next to her bed. It inspired me so much to realize that this, and the way to be good at this and make it matter, because so much of this design can be frivolous. You don't need design. But when you approach it from that standpoint, you realize that it does matter. If it touches every sense, you know, and if it does ignite feeling and emotion, it makes you feel safe, it makes you feel home and creates what that word really means, whether it's in a cabin for a weekend or a home or whatever you bring to it, that changes it. That's what I think sets people apart when they do design.
That was an amazing answer.
That was awesome. So how would winning Cabin Wars impact your journey and your personal goals in interior design?
It might shape what my goals actually are. As you go with family life, I think what my goals have been along the way, they change constantly. Mm-hmm. You know, when I was in New York, what I thought I was going to be, I got pregnant with a baby girl and realized my values didn't align with maybe what that design world up there did. So there's a shift. You know, I come down here, I think I'm doing interior design. My dad has a stroke. There's a shift. There's a constant shift life throws at you when you're immersed in a family, you know, and having two girls who keep me so busy. It keeps shifting for me. So I got excited when I saw this because I think it's an opportunity maybe for a what's next or just to inspire what is right now, you know, because I'm kind of at a place where we have a lot going on as far as like managing properties and that more construction clinical side of things. And, you know, doing design, I don't have all the time in the world that I once, you know, would have liked to have had to do it. So when I saw this, I thought this is a fun way, you know, to maybe shift me a little.
That's awesome.
Let's talk about maybe your vision without giving secrets away.
No way. I'm going to tell you all the wrong stuff.
So think a glamping paradise. What would you include?
Fluorescent lighting. My vision. Okay, I'm not going to talk about the design vision because I haven't seen the space.
Right.
But you want to know like what I think would matter.
What would you put in a camping space? Maybe amenities or what would you include? What's the vibe you want?
The reason I thought it was fun because I am not a camper. My husband loves camping, and I bring ZQL, and at like 6:30 I take it and I like knock myself out to get through the night so I can bear through one night of it. It's ridiculous. But I know good spaces, you know, and I know what it takes to make those memories. There's a place we go in Zachary, Louisiana. It's like 1970s little ski camp. Y'all might have been there. And it's not aesthetic. There's nothing aesthetically pleasing about it, but it makes for the best memories, you know? And when you dial it back to functionality, when you realize what you really need to make these weekends comfortable or these little times away comfortable for a family, and then you marry it with the things that maybe a little nostalgia. That's what you're looking for when you go places like that. You know, you're not booking a weekend at the Ritz-Carlton. You're looking for fun. You're looking for funky, but there's a throwback to some nostalgia, even more for the parents. I think that sparks something inside of us that lets us relax and go back to when we were kids. So I think keeping that in mind, because I think when as parents or as families or even as groups of friends, when that nostalgia kind of gets a little triggered, we change. And that's where the memories really come from, you know, not necessarily design aesthetic. That's the fun part, but it's really honing in on what are those key things that are going to make somebody like remember that weekend.
So I guess to follow that up, going back to design, how would you describe your design style?
My design style. Again, I think this is one thing that does set me apart as a designer. I think a lot of people have a look, and I know what I love, but my favorite thing, and I think every person that I've worked with will tell you this, their house does not look like me. It looks like them, and it looks like the parts of them that I think my gift really is when somebody can't fully verbalize what their look is, getting to know them and understanding what they're actually looking for and creating that. From a design standpoint, good space awareness and spatial planning, texture, understanding color, all those things I'm going to bring in any project that I do. But I think the most important thing is understanding what you're designing and who you're designing for. That's why a cabin doesn't scare me. It's not out of my element. Just like a really contemporary house doesn't scare me, and a really country farmhouse doesn't scare me, because it's not about my design aesthetic. It's about understanding what makes that place or that family or that client feel the most at home and best in the space.
What do you think will be the biggest challenge?
Picking my kids up from school while I do this. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be.
Challenge of the whole thing. My 14-year-old being like, I forgot my bloomers for cheer. Can you leave the show live? No, I'm kidding. I'll make arrangements. The biggest challenge, besides time management, the budget actually sounds, I think, really doable for the space. I think that's a very generous budget.
Yeah,
I work
not
with
to give
others.
too much away, but we're trying to keep them a secret the inside, because we're going to try to do like a reveal to the contestants, but they're small.
They're
they're
small,
they're not like massive cabin houses. So
yeah, I think you can erase that. That's usually the biggest challenge on any project, honestly. And with that, and support is usually a massive challenge, like having the right subs and finding the right people and those time things. So if those things are taken care of ahead of time, the biggest challenges are kind of out of the way.
How do you think viewers will connect with your personality or style?
Oh gosh, it'll be good until I start cursing. I'm not. I don't know. We'll see. That's something, again, at 28, 30, I might have worried about at 43.
Yeah.
It's all right. I'm all right.
Yeah.
They like you, you do your best. Like I said, be kind and work hard. And like I tell my girls, be good to other people, and the rest kind of falls into place.
Ashley, I know, but maybe can you share a little bit more about your family? Like,
I am married to my amazing husband Byron for 15 years this year, and we have a daughter, Isla, who is 14, and Annie, who is 11. They keep us very busy, and they are fun, amazing girls, and we enjoy our life in Covington. We live on the river, so there's a lot of forced outside time. Just kidding. I love camping and outside time. And that's it. That's our dog Lila, which I can't believe hasn't appeared in the screen.
Are your girls interested in design and that sort of life, you think?
In their own rooms. Yeah, actually, while we were on here, I've gotten a few links of what bed I'm supposed to be ordering from Isla. Yes. No, she is not interested in what other people are designing, but yes, they like their own spaces to be beautiful, just like they want.
Awesome.
But yeah, things like that are passed down, just like anything you share within a family.
Yeah, I love the story of your mom helping as like grandma, passing that on.
Yeah.
In a sentence or two, why should viewers root for you on Cabin Wars?
Oh gosh, why should they view from it? Why shouldn't they?
Right?
Shit. I mean, I think, there it went again. Instead of telling you all the reasons they should, I think I'm to a place of why shouldn't they? If I'm gonna work hard and I'm gonna do right by people and I'm gonna give everything my best, why shouldn't they? I'm usually I think a lot of my friends will tell you I'm a big cheerleader. I like to see people do well. I don't mind competition, but I had 2 older brothers, so I got used to being beat at basically everything that I ever did. So I'm really comfortable with it and in my skin. I think that appeals to people. I think people like to see people who genuinely like to see others do well. I think that's what we all probably crave in life, is a little bit of more like true friends and cheerleaders. And I'll bring that to the show in anything I do, because that is something that's a real part of who I am. If I'm working with a sub or a high-end client, whatever it may be, or somebody with a $2,000 budget for a whole kitchen, or I am genuine in wanting to see them feel good and success, and the people around me. I mean, I might try to sabotage the people with me. I'm just kidding. I would never, but I think that is what appeals to people, because I think that's what we all really crave. And then the people who don't like me, it's probably because of my voice, my 14-year-old boy voice. They won't be able to take it.
All right,
Y'all,
thanks,
if you
Ashley.
call me,
All right, see ya.
Thanks, bye.